So first of all, let's identify what a super objective is. Do you guys know what that is?
What the character wants to achieve.
Yep. Yeah, they have an overall objective. So if this is the beginning of the play and that's the end of the play, they have this overall reaching objective throughout the entire play or screenplay. That's called the super objective. Okay? And each scene, some big, some small, has to support that overall super objective. Okay? Because you can't all of a sudden have like, oh, I want to be an astronaut, and then a scene about why he's doing some cooking. You know, you're like, that doesn't support the overall super objective. So each scene objective has to be in support of the overall super objective. Does that make sense to you guys?
Yeah.
Okay. So how many people have seen you guys, Christopher Nolan, he made these Batman movies. What was the first one that he made? Batman Begins?
Yeah.
Is it Batman Begins? That's the one, right? Where, and the movie starts off where he's hanging out with his girlfriend. She's like, look, I found an Indian arrowhead. And he's like, oh. And he snatches it. And he runs behind this little retaining wall. And he's kind of on this wooden plank or whatever. And it collapses. And he falls down into what? A well. And what's in the well? Bats, right? So he like injures his arm. He sees bats. He's like, oh, his dad, you know, rappels down with a bosun's chair, grabs him, and then Alfred, you know, pulls the limo out and pulls them back up. And of course, then the next thing happens is they go to the theater, right? And they're watching an opera. And what happens to little Batman?
He got scared because of the bats.
Yeah, he got scared because there's bats on the stage. And it kind of re-stimulated this or triggered this event. And he's like, oh gosh, I gotta go. And honestly, I think this was a major parenting fail, because when I was a kid, if my dad would have just been like, you just sit there, let's close your eyes. You know, we're not leaving. This is for your mother. You know, but I'm sure everybody else was kind of like, oh yeah, no, we wouldn't. We're not going to leave. You just suck it up, you know. But no, they're like, hey, we got to leave in the middle of the play, you know, the opera. And do they go out the front door? No. They go out some sketchy side door into the alley, and what happens?
They get robbed and killed.
They get held up. Yeah. They get, you know, mugged with a man with a pistol, and then the man shoots them both. Okay, shoots both his parents. And so then the next scene is Bruce Wayne, I think is his name, his character's name. He's in a Chinese prison, right? And he's like fighting like 7 guys. And then he's in his prison cell, and then who comes to see him? Liam Neeson, right? El Gould or something like that. And he's like, hey, come and join my gang, the League of Shadows. We party up on this hill. And so he's like, okay, I'm going to go up there and I'm going to go party with these guys and learn the ways of the ninja or whatever. And then he kind of comes back to Gotham. Now, what is Batman's super objective?
Clean up Gotham
from crime, right? Yeah. So he wants to protect Gotham. Does everybody agree with that? Yeah. That's a realistic thing that he's trying to do. He gets an outfit, he stops all the other criminals and stuff like that. Now, is there a part of him that wants revenge?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because there's that one part in the movie about halfway through where he gets a pistol. He puts it in his pocket, and they catch the guy that murdered his mom and dad. and he's about to gun him down on the steps of the courthouse. He's just about to shoot him. And he reaches into his pocket, and he's got the gun, and he's ready. And then he realizes, I can't do it. And the reason he does that is because revenge is not his true objective. His super objective is not revenge. And he puts the gun back in his pocket, and then there's some kind of shootout, and that guy ends up getting shot anyway and dies. Okay? So then he comes on, he gets all the outfits and the car and the bat cave and all that other cool stuff. But why does he want to protect Gotham from crime?
I think part of him blames himself for making his parents leave the theater.
Uh-huh.
So he wants to redeem his mistakes.
Yeah, I think you're right. You see, because protecting Gotham is like a physical act, right? And yeah, I'm going to go around, I'm going to fight crime, I'm going to do all this other stuff. But and that's kind of a physical thing, and everybody can kind of understand that intellectually. Does that make sense? Like, hey, I can understand that. I understand what you're talking about. Oh yeah, you're protecting, have you guys ever had to protect something? Maybe, your house or your schoolyard or your brother, your sister, or loved one or whatever, you're like, hey. So you kind of understand this. But really, there's a human element to this. And that human element is that he feels responsible for his parents' death, right? That's why he puts himself in this Chinese prison where he's fighting all these guys, and he has this self-loathing that he's trying to deal with. So he's like, oh, well, I need to make amends. And so those are physical things, but how many people here have made a mistake in their life? Right? We've all done that. Okay. And how many times have we made a mistake to someone that we cared about a lot? Right? We've all done that. And we've all been like, hey, I'm really sorry, I made this mistake. Let me make it up to you. Right? And if you're fortunate enough, that person who you care about will give you the opportunity to redeem yourself and to earn back what it is that you lost, right? So in the movie Batman Begins, his real super objective is not to protect Gotham, is not to get a car to fight crime or to get a suit to protect himself. Yes, those are all scene objectives, but really he's looking for redemption. And as we all just noted, we all have felt that we needed to redeem ourselves for something that we've done, right? So his super objective is something that we can all relate to on a human level. Like, oh man, I know what it's like to do something and then feel responsible or feel guilty. And I know what it's like to hate yourself or to kick yourself for doing that. And you need to fix yourself. So, and of course, he's a superhero. So everything has to be super to what he does. And the people who he fights are super villains. So that his actions become super actions. Do you know what I mean? So the greater the villain, the greater the action of the hero to overcome him. All right? So that's really what the super objective is for Batman Begins, is that he's looking for redemption. He needs to, and he's putting himself through a really rigorous set of obstacles to overcome to get that redemption. He does it over 3 movies. Okay? So each scene has to have, it can be 1 page, it can be 5 pages. All has to support redemption. So why does he go get the super suit? Remember, he gets I think he says he was going to use it for kerplunking or something. Is that the same movie? I can't remember. They're all kind of blended together. But he gets the suit so that he can fight crime, so that he can get 1 step closer to redemption. Oh, well, then he goes and builds the supercar, the Batmobile, so that he can fight crime, so he can get one step closer to the redemption. Right? Yeah.
I just have a question. Is it possible for a character's action to not align with their super objective, and then as a result it makes them hate themselves more, or like because they didn't uphold their promise to themselves?
Well, you're adding a lot of complexity into this. So normally, that's a really good question. So depending on the play, it could be a tragedy. So in a tragedy, characters will do that. They'll be like, oh, this is my road to redemption. But let's say that the character's an alcoholic and they come to a really stressful time and there's a moment of temptation and they submit to the temptation. Mm-hmm. And so then therefore they don't achieve the redemption, and therefore the play is a tragedy. Mm-hmm. So yes, those things do occur, yeah, in certain scripts, for sure. Yeah, so it's, as a performer, you have to kind of, take each script into account and break it down specifically for each. This is not a blanket thing that applies to all scripts, but there's always going to be the exception occasionally, every once in a while. Yeah, so that's a good question. So, but most of the time, everything is going to be in support of what he's trying to do. So, here he gets the super suit, then he gets the supercar, then he gets the bat cave, and then all of a sudden he takes a cooking class. No, that doesn't make any sense at all. So that scene just gets totally taken out, right? And I think he's also, some of the other things that he has a girlfriend, right?
Childhood friend.
Yeah, his childhood girlfriend. And he's trying to have a relationship with her, right? Which is also a part of, over the 3 movies. Rachel, I think her name was? Is that it?
I think so, yeah.
Something like that. That he finally comes to, after the 3 movies, he tries to get to hand over the responsibility of the protection of Gotham to the mayor. And then he ends up becoming Two-Face, right? And it's kind of like, so he's getting to the point where he can finally let the responsibility go. He feels he's redeemed himself, but yeah, again, it takes a sharp turn, and he has to deal with that. Okay, so that basically is how a scene and super objectives work. Does that make sense to you guys? Now you have to remember, when you're breaking down scenes, there's a great acronym, okay, and it's SMART. Okay, so when you're doing your scene objectives, you can look at SMART. SMART stands for specific, right? Your goal has to be specific. It can't be vague. It has to be specific. The M is for measurable. Okay. So it's either I've crossed 1,000 miles to get here, or I've interviewed 1,000 people to talk to you, or do you know what I mean? It's something that's measurable. My actions are measurable. Also, my goal has to be achievable. Okay? It can't be unachievable. Otherwise, it's unrealistic. So, hey, I got to climb to Mount Everest. Have people done that? Yeah. And do people try to do that every year?
Yeah.
Yeah, and do people die on that mountain every year? There's like still people on there, right? Like dead, like frozen up there, which is unbelievable. Okay. It also has to be relevant. Again, it can't be like doing a cooking class or something. It's got to be relevant to what you're after. and also it has to be time bound. So it has to be done in a short amount of time. You can't just be sitting around until the next snowstorm. You know what I mean? Like it's got to be like, oh, there's this one window of opportunity, so I have to get it done, or I only have so much time before X happens. So it has to be time bound. So those are really great kind of like a checklist for you to kind of measure your like, oh, if I'm going for my scene objective, what is it? Is it specific? Is it measurable? Is it achievable? Is it relevant? And is it time bound? Okay, so those are good things. Now, if I was to ask you in the play that we're working on, what is the super objective of Tracy and Ben?
For Ben to get a company relationship.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Now let's talk about what happened in the play. So the play starts with Tracy on the couch in a towel or a blanket and a towel on her head. And she wakes up, doesn't really know where she is, and then starts banging on the table with a book. And Ben comes in and says, oh, what's going on? But what happened before all of that?
So Tracy attempted suicide
Yeah, and why?
because she was really upset about what happened
Yeah,
in her life.
she lost her job,
Yeah.
right? And then she came home and her boyfriend had just
Left.
moved out, just took all the furniture and everything and just left. Right? And then what?
Her
She
parents like
didn't help her, so she took a Greyhound bus to Pittsburgh? Was it? Or no, not Venezuela. No, that's his line. He's like, I'm going to take a Greyhound bus to Venezuela. No, she took it to, and then some saggy baggy old lady stole her ticket or something.
Oh, and she hitchhiked.
And then she hitchhiked, right? And she met some
Purple Volkswagen.
And she met some hippies in a purple Volkswagen. What did they do?
They
Abandoned her. Yeah, they left her there. Right? They just abandoned her. And so then she got a ride with what? Some old guy. Right? And he bought her breakfast. Okay. Then she snuck into Coney Island and then walked around, saw all the whales and all the sharks.
Yeah. And she was fascinated by the sharks.
Yeah, there's some connection with the sharks. And so then that night, Ben hears what?
Someone in the water.
Someone in the water, 4 o'clock in the morning. And he describes it as a what? A loony bird, a wounded loon making noises. And so he goes out and he basically finds a woman drowning in the ocean. Now we're in this urban area. He doesn't have a phone, doesn't have a television. So he takes her, like, what would you do if you found somebody that was drowning?
No, save.
You would save them, right? That's just natural instinct. You'd be like, oh my God, I have to help you, right? And that's what he did. He helps her. He takes her home. Now, if you think about Ben, we've read the play about Ben. What's he got in his life? You know, we listen to the stories that Tracy has about her growing up in the Midwest, being on a farm, having all the chickens and kittens and dogs and all those other things, and her family with her 4 brothers. What does Ben talk about?
His novel.
Talks.
He doesn't have anything in his life.
He doesn't talk about anyone in his life. Doesn't talk about his dad, his mom, brother, sister, grandparent, nobody. Okay? And then she tells him she's pregnant. And what does he say? Hey, we'll sell the car. We'll call your parents. We'll do all this stuff. Don't worry about it. It'll be tough at first, but it'll be great. So he feels what?
Happy.
Yeah, he's excited. He's happy because he's going to get what?
A family.
A family and a baby. So for him, who has nothing, his objective, I believe, is to have a family. That's his super objective. That's his overall objective. Everything he does in this play is in pursuit of this. Every scene, whether it's conscious or unconscious, he's always moving towards that need and want. Now, Tracy will have her own super objective, which is in direct conflict of that. It'll be the opposite of it. So what does Tracy want? Now we talk about Tracy. She's had this history, right? Living on the farm, disappointed her parents, wasn't what she felt her parents would need or want. This guy abandoned her. She lost her job. She talks about having done it or made it with 3 guys in one night. She talked about, letting the old guy that bought her breakfast crawl all over her. She talks about these things, about being promiscuous and all these other things. So what does Tracy want? And she's always telling him, like, hey, every time I come home, and I stand you up, you come home and you lick my popsicle or whatever, I provoke you, and she punches him. She kicks him in the groin. She's threatening to leave always. She gets pregnant and has an abortion, right? And comes back. She throws everything at him, his books, the things that his actual novel that he wrote. She's always trying to provoke him. So what does she want? Yeah?
That's why I asked the question, because I feel like she does want a family. I feel like she wants to prove that she's worth it to not be given up on.
Yeah.
She keeps self-sabotaging, and she keeps doing something against her super objective, I feel like. But yeah.
Okay, so do you feel like from reading the play that Tracy has mental health issues?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. I think the way that it's written, it's pretty clear, right? Okay. So there's going to be something there that's going to influence her choice, right? So does she want to have a relationship?
Sometimes.
She does.
Yeah. Yeah. Does she want to have a family?
I think she does.
I think so.
Yeah.
But she's also...
She doesn't want to get hurt again.
Right. Now she's willing to not only kill herself, which she tried to do, but she also terminated the pregnancy. So she's willing to kill her unborn child. So this person is so committed to killing herself if she doesn't get her need met. So that's pretty extreme, is it not? Yeah, it's really extreme. So if it's so extreme, that's great, because you always want to play the highest stakes. And the highest stakes ultimately is life and death, is it not? There's nothing greater than that. So she wants all these things, but she tells him many things. Hey, I'm leaving, but I can stay for humanitarian efforts on my behalf, she says. Oh, I'm going to leave, I'm going to go to Luxembourg, but maybe I'll stay. But I have rules. And what are our rules?
Not having pets.
No pets, right? Because she's going to become attached to them, right? And then those pets pass away and it breaks her heart. That's part of her trauma, right? No pets. What else?
No plans.
No plants. Okay, what else? No smoking. And also, I can break all the rules. Right?
Yep.
All these rules, but then I can break them all. So who does stuff like that?
King.
Hmm?
King. Queen.
I don't understand.
Queen.
Queens? Yeah, she's a queen for sure. But ultimately, Tracy wants everything that everybody else wants, but she wants to be in control. Everything that she does it only when she has control over the situation. Because if she doesn't have control, she will take actions to gain control. And if she doesn't, she's willing to kill herself. Because when she starts at the beginning of the play, she's totally lost control. She has no money, she has no friends, nobody, nothing. So she's like, I'm going to drown myself and hopefully be eaten by sharks. But I don't think there's too many sharks in Cape Cod. It's a little cold, right? So then she's like, okay, I'll stay with you, but only on these conditions. Yes, I'll do this, but only. And who takes it? Who takes her abuse? Only a man that's so lonely, right? Who's been isolated, who's probably an orphan, who has no one and nothing in his life, who only lives in books. And he's willing to say, God gives you a few opportunities to choose what do you want, and I choose you, he says. Right at the end of the play. And he's like, well, I don't know if I want to hear. He's like, well, the door's open. You can leave anytime you want. And she goes to terminate the baby. He doesn't stop her. Right? So, ultimately, if he wants a family, she'll say, okay, as long as I can control it. But can you control a baby? Hell no. Babies do whatever they want. They get up in the middle of the night, they cry, they poo, they pee, they just like, what? What are you going to do about it? You know, I'm the boss now. You know, they just do whatever they want. They answer to no one. Babies are tyrants. Okay? So also, that's a whole nother person, right? That she has to be responsible for. Right? So if she wants control and he wants a family, well, these two characters are going to collide. It's going to be pretty interesting, is it not? So, is it specific?
Yeah.
Yes.
Is it measurable?
Yeah.
Family? Yes? No? Control? Yes? No? Is it
Yeah.
achievable?
Yeah.
Is it relevant to this?
Yes.
Is it time bound? Is it? Yes. So all of it fits in there, right? All of this fits in there. So, if that's the super objective, each scene has to support this overall super objective. There's no scene that, you know, she's all of a sudden just left, because then she would just leave, right? But yeah, so now if you're like, oh, it seems like she's counterintuitive, but she's actually totally intuitive. We just didn't figure out what the super objective was, because her need and want is not regular. It's not what a normal person wants because of her mental health issues. It's, you know, it's different than what a normal average person wants. And so we as an audience want to see high stakes. We want to see high risk. We want to see something different. We want to see that. And then in this, actually, we'll all see parts of our own humanity too. Yeah, because I mean, who hasn't wanted to control a situation in their life, or a situation in their relationship?
Control comes from fear.
Yeah. Who needs control? Only those who are out of control.
Or
And-
those who are scared.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's very good. Excellent. So does this make sense to you guys?
Yeah.
Okay. Can you apply this to your script and to your scene work? Okay, so my question to you, before we get up and do our scene presentation, is to get together with your scene partner and figure out what is your scene objective. You know what the overall objective is, but what is the scene objective? Sound good?
Yeah.
I'll give you 5-10 minutes, and then we'll just start doing our play.
Okay.
Sound great? Okay. Get to work. Let's go.